sheer amount of isekai and isekai-adjacent anime that get released every season, many people can feel burned out on the genre and thus appreciate it when an isekai does something different and more unique, like making the muffin EDP was looking for. However, the love for the genre runs as deep as it does because sometimes there's nothing better than sitting down to watch an anime that's pure power fantasy fun, with an overpowered main character, tasteful fan service, and a simple but enjoyable plot, which is exactly what Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy is. The hot girl made 30k for spitting on. Can I make nothing? Please subscribe. It's an anime that originally came out in 2021 and just finished the run of its second season, with a third one confirmed to be on the way. Couldn't be no game in the life. And it's one of the better isekai out there when it comes to watching a guy with cool powers get into dope fights with some banging animation to go alongside it, allowing you to turn your brain off and enjoy what's happening on screen without worrying about it leaving you with emotional scars you'll never recover from. Makoto is our main character, and he gets whisked away to a fantasy world because of a deal his parents made long ago. Thus, the goddess who summoned him ordains that he'll be her hero and fight in her name, until she realizes he's ass ugly and ditches him without a second thought. This is both hurtful and hilarious because any stock anime guy already looks better than me, so why live? But also because that's a very unique way to start an anime. And it doesn't stop there because Makoto is granted super OP abilities from a far cooler god and is naturally more powerful in this world because he was basically in the hyperbolic time chamber while in our world. And his new power is immediately put to use when he protects a pig woman, hear me out, and then takes down a powerful dragon, who of course then turns into a hot girl. Fortunately for Makoto, his new wife has the ability to conjure a demi-plane, a reality existing outside of the goddess's view, thus he decides this will be where he'll lead his new life as freely as he wishes, before a giant spider attacks, gets beat up by him, and then also turns into a hot girl. I'm sensing a pattern here. Ultimately, he concludes that he'll build up his own nation and bring in species rejected by the goddess, forming friendships along the way and traveling the world to increase his nation's notoriety and wealth. Which is basically just slime, but this one came first and the waifus are hotter. Oh yeah, she can stay a pig. Season 1 more or less plays out this way in its entirety, with Makoto going about living his life and dealing with the issues that come with it, with many of the arcs stemming from simple actions like looking for humans to join his nation or searching for a flower mentioned in a previous arc to invent pepper spray so that the guards can stop doing this. This causes every episode to link together organically through a simple cause and effect pattern of Makoto does A to accomplish B, which later leads to C and thus a new arc, thereby creating a unique way to make an anime about a guy generally doing very mundane stuff and not wanting any trouble still be exceedingly entertaining and filled to the brim with great action, fun, and the metric system. Season 2 is practically the same, picking up directly after Season 1 with Makoto traveling to a neutral land to open up a shop, naturally developing from there with him becoming a teacher as a result while trying to untangle the mystery of his parents and why you haven't subscribed to my Patreon yet, following the same structure laid out by the previous season as it moves on to bigger plot points while also intermittently sprinkling in bits of character development to keep things interesting, ranging from the simple and Tomoe, the dragon girl, and Mio, the spider girl, slowly improving their skills to stand as their own characters without being up Makoto's ass, to something with a bit more depth in Makoto and how he deals with his acclimation to his new lifestyle, specifically after he crosses a line and kills another human, something he'd have never thought of doing before, all to showcase just how much he cares for his citizens while still illustrating that, while he does indeed feel remorse for it, he's willing to push past it to do what needs to be done, just like you'll push that like button.
Get the fuck out.
It's a moment that's rather scarce throughout the series, as it's not a focused character story per se, but the scene is well done and the impact is felt, and it's not the only time we see someone from our realm cope with their fate in this new world, as Season 2 includes cut content from Season 1 in the form of 2 additional protagonists, with Hibiki, the girl hero, telling the story of someone who isn't super overpowered, but still has to contend with threats similar to what Makoto has fought, which doesn't always end well for her.
Hibiki.
Too bad, L ratio.
And ultimately concludes with people dying due to her lack of power and general inexperience. And that's used to bolster her development and make her into a unique character all her own, while the male hero, Tomoki, is just kind of a scummy douchebag, but he can fire off a nuke, and that's cool as fuck. Together, alongside Makoto, they help the world to feel real and lived in, heavily expanding on the world building and consequently putting a greater emphasis on the other nations and their relationships, as well as the war the goddess is waging with the demons, of which we see a sneak peek of at the end of Season 1. That's right, just in case nation building and character development aren't your thing, the anime has your back in the form of exceedingly entertaining and lasciviously well animated sequences of nice fan service. of nice fights, going above and beyond when it matters the most to make a treat for your eyes and ears, as the OST, done by the same composer who's done Naruto and Fairy Tail, meshes perfectly with every scene and goes amazingly hard, just like... The action scenes themselves are also super dynamic and varied, in part due to Makoto's unique moveset, as well as the multiple different characters we get to see engage in combat, with the animation being either serviceable or some of the best you've seen in this genre, with the directing, on the other hand, being perfectly fine and nothing too insane, bordering on bog standard if anything, but it knows exactly how to make a dude shooting a flame arrow the coolest thing you've ever seen, while simultaneously getting across that this ass-ugly dude is the luckiest man alive.
I can't stop winning! I can't stop winning! I can't stop winning!
And that's honestly what the anime does best, as despite being overpowered from the onset, they're still able to make Makoto's power feel earned and his growth interesting to follow as a result, much in the same way as a typical shonen protagonist, because his aversion to fighting makes the few times he does fight feel warranted and exhibit progress simultaneously, as we watch him work his way up the ladder from random bandits to wiping out entire armies and creating a lake with a single strike. My god, they're dead! Likewise, Makoto's ridiculous overpoweredness plays into the core mechanics of the story as well, such as the demi-plane, one of the main focuses of the series for the nation building, being the lush forest that it is specifically because of Makoto's ridiculous amount of mana, since it's typically just an empty void of nothingness. And having his power mean something instead of just being there for the sake of it is much better than the alternative of being a Giga Chad nothing burger of a character for the viewer to self-insert into.
Spectacular. Give me 14 of them right now.
It's an anime that's great at appealing to your inner 13-year-old while making that make sense for its story, but it does have issues that persist despite that, primarily in Season 2, as the pacing is much slower, which causes some of the in-between episodes where nothing really happens to be pretty boring, especially if you're not vibing with the arc because you already guessed who the villain was for it since the anime went out of its way to make it extremely obvious.
It's the fucking teacher!
And that's in addition to the pacing of the first handful of episodes of Season 2 being even worse, because it needed to include multiple episodes dedicated to the two new heroes that were originally meant for Season 1. Yet the anime doesn't do much to slot them in naturally, so those episodes end up feeling really jarring and out of place.
Almost.
And while this obviously isn't the type of show that will end up on anyone's top list because of its insanely good storytelling, it could for its animation, yet that also takes a hit in Season 2 as, while some of the scenes still look good, other scenes fall a bit short despite taking place during the more climactic points of the series, which is a bit of a letdown. However, no anime is without its flaws, so while that seems extremely unfortunate, it's unlikely to hurt the bottom line that is the enjoyment of passively watching this series, because it has everything you could ask for from this genre, and if that's considered trash, then I live to consume it, because goddamn is it fun. So check it out because you won't be disappointed.